Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, we're back here for the TWC Show live on Dash Radio every Saturday at 3 p.m. Pacific Time, 6 p.m. Eastern Time. Also, a quick shout out to all of our Patrons from Patreon. Thank you guys for subscribing. If you aren't yet, go subscribe to the Patreon for as little as $2 a month. You get this in video form. You get it early on Thursdays. You get extra content and extra podcast content, extra audio content. I've got a secret Instagram page where I post the stuff that you can only find on the OG Wrestling Classic that I can't post no more, but you get it if you sign up for the Patreon. Some classic matches and promos and segments and a whole bunch of other cool stuff like giveaways and so on. But now that that's out of the way, I am here with none other than Neesin from THS Wrestling. What's going on?
What's up? Just a cool guy today, you know.
Taking it
cool
easy. There we go. And we got Daniel from the Dropkick Podcast. What's going on, Daniel?
Nothing much, man. Thank you for having me on again. And what's up, Neesin? It's been a while.
It has, right? But it's been since RVD, right?
Yeah.
Look at that. So I feel like we're all kind of at the same vibe today. Like I'm not low energy, but just kind of like chill. Because that's kind of the vibe I'm at. Like I just tried to turn it up right there for the intro, but I'm not there today. And I'm just going to admit it. I'm not there today. I've had a frustrating day. It's been a long week. You know what, TWC Show, we like to give you the real Justin. I ate an edible yesterday. I got really fucked up. And I'm pretty sure I was still feeling it this morning. And I literally feel like I just feel okay now, which makes me just really sleepy and really just want to go to bed. And I was going to take a nap, but then as you guys know, I had some personal banking stuff to deal with and also had to record this show. So I'm like, I can't sleep. Otherwise, I'm probably not going to wake up till like midnight. So here we are, guys, for the TWC Show. And there is a lot to talk about. I want to start off with what we never got to finish talking about last week, Neesin. And that's all
my DMs blowing up. People saying I don't know anything about wrestling. Huh?
Yo, did you actually get those DMs?
Yeah.
Wow. That's crazy.
I laughed. Because
can I point something out though to your point, Neesin, is I originally posted that draft image. Remember we drafted SmackDown Raw rosters before the draft in October. I originally posted that on the TWC Worldwide page, which was the page I started growing when my page got taken down. Right, the mixture of followers, of new followers and old followers. So it was a different audience in a sense, even though it was the same audience. What this page is like my core audience has been following me for years. Might not have found that page when that was rocking, which I know a lot of people didn't, because when I got this page back, they're like, where'd you go? So like what I did notice, and I pointed out to Daniel, I'm like, you know what's so funny is I do remember posting this on the old page. And Neesin fucking rocked me with the people saying SmackDown had a better roster. And I'm like, I can tell how well I like treated my following base and my people, because I'm like, yo, I'm getting a lot of Raw this time, but I know it's because these are my people.
Like, people. They're like, who's this guy? Like, I could do better than this guy.
Like, I'm not saying my roster is bad, but I like your roster is great. And like, considering the current climate of like what's happening in WWE, like if we think about what's happening today, your roster is way better than mine.
SmackDown is the best 2 hours of wrestling on television. I'll tell you that much.
And it's the fact that people are still voting for my roster. I was like, oh, like these are my people. It makes sense. So going to wrap it around. Like I understand that people are giving you those DMs. I get it. People are loyal.
Yeah, they are. Which, hey, kudos to you. And look, you give me a chance to play the villain, and I will play it up to the day I decease. I love it. And also, they were mad because I said the Young Bucks are the greatest tag team that didn't touch the WWE. But I said it in a I know this, like, and I was tossing it out there like, "Ooh, hot take," and they're like, "Oh, that's not a hot take. Oh, you don't know anything about wrestling." It's like,
wait, so you said something they agree with, and they got mad at you?
That's how loyal your fans are, Justin. They just they just love you so much.
I'm starting to think there are some of them, not all of you. By no means do I mean all of you, but it also tells you the intelligence of some of them.
Wow.
We're tired today. We're grumpy. We shoot it from the hip.
Let's do it.
No, I've had to argue with my following a lot too in the past, like with really like ridiculous arguments, which I think I've created a very good space where I think at least the people that follow me know like I'm a big believer in just agreeing to disagree. Like at the end of the day, like none of us have to be right necessarily. Exactly. We can have different opinions. but I've read some really dumb opinions where I've been like, oh shit. Like, okay, but oh shit.
I mean, look,
I'll give you an example. I want to get into this later, but I'll talk about it right now.
Yeah.
So I try to host rooms on Clubhouse. So if you guys have Clubhouse app, find the Wrestling Classic. I have my own club. Hit the little greenhouse, follow it. I usually do watch parties for Raw, SmackDown, and Dynamite. Those are the 3 shows I do it for. Another group called Belts and Beauties does it for NXT, and then Pro Wrestling Anonymous, which is like the OGs of Clubhouse wrestling groups. They do it for like just any other random topic. Like if there's breaking news, they open up rooms. So anyways, I was doing them for Dynamite. And the Raw ones, honestly, if you guys join the Raw ones, it makes Raw a little bit easier to watch because it's really hard to watch. But when you're in that group with a group of people just talking during it, it just makes it a lot easier to watch. Like, we have a good time, even though we're shitting on it most of the time. But someone came to me and they're like, oh, like Dynamite's been getting these ratings over 1 million these past 2 weeks since they've been unopposed. And, Raw ratings are falling down to like 1 million and something. Like, I honestly think if Dynamite went to Mondays, they could compete against Raw. And I know they didn't maybe mean it just like that, because after I called them out on a bunch of shit, they're like, no, I just mean like it would make Raw step up their game because they're on the same night as. And I'm like, do you guys realize? Listen, I want AEW to do good. So like anyone at AEW, if you listen to this, like I'm not saying this to like because I dislike you. I'm saying this because I do like you, and low-key like hire me and I can help you guys out. But like,
yeah,
but like. I'm like, the reason that doesn't work is I'm like, first things first, they're getting this 1 million rating because they're finally unopposed, right? So those fans that might have been watching NXT on Wednesdays are now probably tuning into Dynamite to see what it's about. Like, that's the wrestling on Wednesday. Let's see what's going on. Like, I'll be honest, since NXT's been on Tuesdays this past 2 weeks, I actually watched NXT.
Mm-hmm.
I never did that before most of the times. I tried the bit watching NXT and Dynamite back to back, and then at a point I just started just watching Dynamite and catching the highlights of NXT. But these last 2 weeks I watch NXT. So I'm like, it makes sense that the ratings will pop up these 2 weeks unopposed. But I'm a strong believer in your ratings. The ratings of the week of are more representative of the show that happened the week before, not the show that's happening live. Because the people that tuned in the week before, they're the ones that make the decision if they're going to come back the next week and watch. So most of the time the ratings for this week are really a description of what happened on the show last week. And from what I looked at, like the ratings for Dynamite weren't increasingly going up. They were like 1.8 to 1.1, and now we're back to 800,000. I'm just saying, it's that same issue of AEW not having the ability, or maybe not even the ability, not having, and we talked about this last week, not having the want. Maybe they don't want to. Maybe this is their decision and their marketing decision not to. But they really don't cater to those casual fans that are just tuning in maybe that week to leave them with anything to stick with. Like, they're catering to the fans they already have. And if they continue to do that, by no means are they ever going to be able to compete with Raw. And that also, I made a big deal about the fact that Raw's Raw. WWE's WWE. It's not happening anymore. It's not the WWE in the mid-90s cartoony character. Like, they're a corporation. They got so many shows. They got a network. They're on Fox. Like, there is no competing with them. And even if you beat them in the ratings, it doesn't do anything to them. So why would you even do that to Dynamite? Any of you guys, any takes?
Well, I mean, here's the thing with Dynamite. I think the placement of some segments can be questioned. And even some matches, like last night, actually, we saw that there were like 2 promos in a row, and I'm like, that's weird. You know what I mean?
I didn't hate that.
I didn't hate it.
I feel like it made it feel like a pay-per-view because it's matches, then 2 promos in all matches.
Yeah, and it's just weird. You know what I mean? But I it's okay. You know what I mean? But I hated how the main event just felt a little underwhelming. I don't know why. I don't know why.
You're quiet over there. How you
because I was letting him get off his points. You're right, and we have the group chat, and I put it in the chat, and I forgot who I was talking to. I forget his name. It starts with a V. But I told him that your WWE stop thinking WWE as wrestling and think of it as Disney. Disney has Star Wars, Disney has Marvel, Disney is a multimedia conglomerate. Disney is about making content and not per se making theme park rides. Right? Like as a kid, they were about that. Oh, Disneyland, but that's not what Disney is about. Literally, they even said Disneyland is used to collect data so they could funnel exactly what you like to funnel it to you via Disney Plus, et cetera, and get your money other ways. That's what Disneyland is for, guys. So that's what WWE is. They have made it known and made it clear. Like we see it now with the A&E show, which we're going to talk about. The 2 shows they have over there. We even see it in the relationship with Young Rock, and Young Rock being a fantastic show, but is a part of the NBC Universal world, which WWE owns the WWE is partnered with, and that they're on the Peacock network. It's all about media. Wow, AEW is great at being the PWG of television wrestling. They're great at that, and they're great at catering to those fans. And like we talked about last week, they don't have to go to the casual fan, and those numbers are going to fluctuate. As I don't like looking at ratings because you're not supposed to hit it out of the park every single week. Especially in today's age where there's so much to do. Like
so many channels,
not even channels. People get lost in TikTok.
People just want to watch highlights after the fact.
Exactly.
Like the people are streaming it on their computer. They're not watching it on the actual network on TV.
And that's what. But like people get lost in TikTok.
Yeah.
Like I know a person, my cousin that lives with me, and he gets lost in TikTok for 3 hours. I will literally be like, I will hear him laughing. And I'm like, oh, what you watching? Oh man, I've just been on TikTok.
Yeah, I don't open the app. It's dangerous.
It's no time.
You can't back out.
You just dive in, right? So
I'm watching these cringy dances I don't even care about and would never watch otherwise, but for some reason I'm entertained by it. And I want to see other people do the same dance now. It's horrible.
I'm doing the dance, guys. If you got the video version,
watching on Patreon, you guys just got a TikTok dance. That's what happened.
Cool ass black guy Neesin over here doing Soulja Boy dances.
Yeah.
Oh my god.
But yeah, no, I agree with you, and I just think it's not the same. I understand everyone wants like that war, and I think Triple H was like that fictional war that everyone made up. Like to an extent, we know they can say what they want. NXT was put on Wednesdays to counteract AEW. We're not saying that wasn't the case originally. It was, but it didn't work. It did work. Take it however you want. They're both better off being on different nights. I'm pretty sure NXT's ratings went up too, right?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, and NXT. I said I don't know if I said this on the podcast last week, but NXT reminds me of Raw when Raw was a 2-hour show and it was good. And you had character development.
Yeah.
You had every segment meant something. And I think this NXT was great. And because they didn't have the heavyweight champion on there. They didn't even have Finn Balor on there. And it was a solid show, segment after segment. Everybody, Everrise got a little piece of something. The Way, all the members of The Way are now into something. The tag team champ, that triple tag team match for the main event was fire.
Banger match, yeah.
And they opened it up with Dakota and Raquel, who had a really good match. Where I think we all went into Dakota's gonna lose. Like we thought that was gonna be the case. But we're like, at least they're making Dakota look really good. I was putting Dakota over during the match, saying the same stuff I always say about the likes of like Sasha and stuff. I'm like, she's going to lose this match, but she's going to lose still being over because the way that they're letting her be portrayed in this match. And then she didn't even lose. And I'm like, this is even better. Like, this is like, okay.
NXT is built. They're back to building. It reminds me of early NXT days when like they were building stars and like, build just when Finn Balor, Sami Zayn, Samoa Joe, Apollo was in there. The big dudes I forgot, but they had the tag team TM81.
TM80 91. And yeah, for anyone before you correct me, I know it was Dakota versus Mercedes, and I said Dakota versus Raquel, but we
already did it. We already credit you for it. You don't don't worry about them in your DMs. Don't worry about them.
Well, they don't DM me, but now that I know they've been DMing people, you're not the first person to say that they got DMs off of my show because someone
all I'm saying is if you are gonna DM me, I have a wish list on Amazon. You should probably click that. And it's nothing but books, that's all I've been ordering is books because
I will say this. So like the one thing I'll say that I've noticed about NXT though in the past few weeks that I have watched it is they are like I don't watch Impact, so I can't comment on the current Knockouts division. So for me, out of someone that watches WWE's program in AEW, NXT knows how to book their women better than any other show that I watch weekly. They got the best women's division, it's the most stacked women's division. Everyone's being used properly. They get multiple segments on that show. And the men are still on it too, but you're not overexposing the men if they don't necessarily need to be wrestling on that show that week and stuff. Like we had Kyle on the show. Karrion Kross was standing backstage. They didn't necessarily need to be in matches or cutting promos, but what they did worked, and you utilize the women properly. And it kind of makes me think about that whole stuff that Mickie James was saying. And I do kind of get WWE's perspective, but she was like, I was pushing really hard for a women's only show, and WWE said it wasn't viable. I get how it's not viable to an extent, because 205 Live is kind of something you can maybe.
Whoa, watch your mouth.
But here's the thing. Here's the thing.
I know that you think 205 Live is the greatest hour,
the greatest 1 hour wrestling on television today. Okay.
I don't remember the last time I watched it, but
disrespect.
Neesin, what's going on 205 Live? What is going on there really quickly?
Look, on 205 Live, so you have Jake Atlas over there. You have now the new cruiserweight champion Kushida, which got rid of the jeans and is actually in wrestling trunks, which is great, right? So now you have him still going up against the Emperor of Luchador Wrestling. I think that's his moniker. And that's really the most that's going on over there. Okay,
but it's really good wrestling, is your point?
It's really, really, really good wrestling. If you liked, if you got a chance to watch Evolve, or if you got a chance to watch, just like old 205 Live when they used to come on before SmackDown, or like they used to shoot before SmackDown and air after, or whatever the case may be, it was just some good ass wrestling. Like it didn't even need a storyline. And I just saw, when I say it's the best 1 hour of pure wrestling on television, that's what I mean. I don't mean entertainment. I don't mean storyline. I mean, it's two guys going out there showing what they can do. And my God, I don't understand why people don't watch it more. Besides the fact that it takes a month to get on Peacock.
Maybe I'll watch the most recent episode the network has of 205 Live and see how I feel. But Danny, what were you gonna say about Mickie James' comments about a complete women's show?
Okay. Yeah, I was gonna say, I agree that why would you have a show like that? And I love women's wrestling, so please don't come after me. You know who the marks are. But here's why, man. So it's hard for the writers to come up with television for Monday Night Raw, right? Like they can barely get through that. And then they have SmackDown, like you said, NXT and 205 Live. Like there's a lot of television. So how would you come up with something really good for the women? And I know you guys have something to say. Listen, but there's so many actual divas on the roster who are female wrestlers. You know what I mean? Like Carmella, she's a great, you know what I'm saying? Like she's a great in-ring wrestler, but she kind of fits in that diva narrative. And it's great. But there's so many other, there's Sasha Banks, there's Becky's, there's Charlotte's. I know how you feel about her, Neesin.
Charlotte's the queen.
Okay. You just got
let me just
Sasha effing Banks a diva?
Wait, did you call her a diva?
No, I'm not saying a diva. I'm saying there's other female wrestlers and there's divas. Like I'm trying to categorize.
So I think that's a good thing. So my argument is just this. I think it could work, but it wouldn't be like another show with like major storylines. It would be like, why not just scrap main event and make that a weekly with just women's matches on that?
We have main event too.
To be honest, I still want to see the women on Raw and SmackDown. Like I want to be off those shows because if you ask me what I'm looking forward to tomorrow on SmackDown, it's mainly to see what Sasha, Bianca, and Bayley. Like I look forward to that. That's of course I'm looking forward to Roman and Bryan, but I always look forward to seeing what. Will Mela show up? Will Sasha show up? Like those are my girls. I look forward to that. I know we'll probably talk about it a little bit in a bit, but or we can talk about it whenever. It seems like we're just jumping around anyways, and I'm cool with it. But Charlotte Flair has been holding it down for Raw this past 2 weeks. I don't care what anyone says. She's probably been the most entertaining part of Raw this past 3 weeks.
Yeah.
Where are you going, Neesin?
Your turn.
What do you think they would do if they had a women?
You are saying some ridiculous things today.
What has she done, man? She's been kind of the best promos. She's been like her heel persona. She's been living it. Like everything that people say about her on the internet. She's like, yeah, it's true.
You're gonna make me smoke live on the internet.
And then she had a great match with Mandy Rose. Mandy Rose was becoming so much better in the ring, and then she beat her clean.
You are going.
Justin, are you still high on that edible, bro?
Exactly. Like what in the Al Gore internets are you doing?
Wait, you don't think that Charlotte Flair's been the best part of Raw this past 3 weeks?
I feel look, okay. I'm gonna get to Charlotte. I'm gonna get to Raw. I'm gonna get to Charlotte Flair. I'm gonna get to the women's point. What Mickie James said about she pitched the show and they said it's not feasible, it's not valuable, and Evolution was the lowest ever watched pay-per-view show. I get those points. Points were made, right? As the Twitter will say, points were made. But the problem, the same thing, the issue is with that is a systemic issue that each sport is having. It's that you say you support women, but you're not putting money behind them to actually promote them, to actually make it valuable and see revenue of income. Like, you think any male business just starts and they're automatically in the black? No, they're in the red. And they're going to be in the red for like 4 years. And they're going to know they're going to run in debt until something hits and then they could turn over. So why not invest that into your women, especially when your women wrestlers have been saving your company for the last 6 years, right? Like, we're talking 6 years. And not even that. You see people like Serena Williams, Ronda Rousey, Venus Williams, Candace Parker. I can name all of them, and all make way lower than their male counterparts. And I'm a firm believer. Is like, hey guys, you guys have to put money into these women to promote them so they can at least have the chance to like tell their story. Right? Like, tell these women's story. And we see that happen.
When I found out how much Sasha Banks makes, reportedly, allegedly on the internet, I was like, that's not a lot. What the fuck?
Right. So you see these women make you see these women tell, like, WWE, the reason why the women that we love, that we're talking about, like, for some ridiculous crazy reason, you love Charlotte Flair and Sasha Banks and Carmella and all the women, right? These women have stories that were told, and that's why we're invested in them. They're not telling stories about Mickie James, which they should be, because that's a story and that's how people will get invested in them. They're not telling stories about the chick that actually just graduated, that just got drafted in basketball, and like she had a crazy, like, she like basically
they just signed her, right?
Yeah, like she broke her. No, I'm not talking about WWE. I'm talking about the WNBA. Like, they have somebody that has an amazing story on. Like, I really want to write the movie, and she got drafted high and bought her ass off at a tournament. But they're not telling that story, so people aren't invested and people don't know. Understand? They say money make the world go round, but really, stories make the world go round because we spend money on the stories. We're invested in people's downfall, upbringing, breaking them up, building. That's stories. We're invested in that. So
we like wrestling. We like stories.
So they don't say they don't want to do a female show because it's not valuable. That's their fault, because it is valuable. So they think
they can't do it unless they have someone like a Ronda Rousey. Like, no, you have the talent.
No,
there.
You take your time.
You
and
have the superstars there. You've built girls on that roster. Maybe if the other ones haven't been built yet, they would be able to create stories on this separate show. If the women that you've already built carry it, you know.
I mean, I'm sorry, that sounded right. You don't need writers. Like, you don't need, like, because you said staff. Like, you don't need writers. Like, you take 10 women, right? You take 10 women. You have you shoot an hour show in a PC, and you air it. You just put it on Peacock. You don't need writers, and let them go and do what they want to do, as far as like, hey, you have a character, go try this out. Don't have it connected to Raw or SmackDown.
Oh, that's what I was gonna say. Would you take the women off on SmackDown and have them just on their own show, or still have them on that shows, but still just have the separate show? Because my idea is, like, have those other 2 shows, but just have that one show where the women can all be on there.
Yeah, dude, that's all you like. Yeah. What do you call it? Did it?
I'm still disappointed that the cruiserweights aren't, like, featured on Raw. Like, I think that should still be a thing, even though they have 205 Live. Like, I think.
Yeah, but then they wouldn't have jobbers.
What do you mean? Well, no, I feel like the reason that it would work to have these 205 Live guys on Raw and the cruiserweights on there is because we have too many stars beating other stars that could also be stars because they don't have jobbers or enhancement.
That's what I'm saying. Like, because they, unfortunately, they view Ali or they view Drew Gulak or Ricochet as, oh, okay, they have you know, they're the underdogs, so they just have to take this L to put over somebody else.
Yeah, and rather than doing that, why not have these cruiserweight guys on there? Some of them aren't gonna be, and it makes sense. Like, you know, if to throw it back, if Jericho was wrestling Dean Malenko on a Nitro, you'd be like, either one of these guys could win. But when Jericho went up against Scott Hall, you already saw the writing on the wall, but it was okay because you knew it was a different, like, and they could still do that. I feel like with the cruiserweight, like if a cruiserweight is facing another cruiserweight in a Raw, like, you know, this could go either way. But if they threw, I don't know, like a Tony Nese up against a Sheamus, so they could feed someone a Sheamus for a week that isn't Angel Garza or Humberto Carrillo, and let's just have Sheamus rough up Tony Nese to build up Sheamus, and you know, then that would work better than him beating Humberto and then Humberto coming out and challenging him and being like, yo, he just whooped your ass last week anyways. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
I feel you.
Now, I don't want to obviously change the subject. I just want to bring that up. I did, now that we're talking about the women though, did you guys see Chelsea Green's tour of interviews she's been doing?
I have not.
So she's been on a tour of interviews, first with Sean Ross Sapp, then with Chris Van Vliet, and I guess she just did another one with Cultaholic or whatnot. And it's just funny because every time she does another interview, she releases more ideas that she pitched. And we've obviously heard the idea about her and Mickey James in the stalker angle, her getting put together with Vanessa Bourne and somebody else to be like a Charlie's Angels group. And then today, I guess on Cultaholic, there was more that came out. Did you guys see what they were?
No, but I know that.
I don't think so, no.
She pitched being a sexy nun for the Messiah. She pitched being Dominic's girlfriend. And the one of the favorites one she pitched was being a part of the Tri-Iconic, which would be her, Hayden, and Billy together. But realistically, she'd be trying to break them up from within. She said, so like kind of get in with them and be with them with a fake Aussie accent and try to split them up, but have them realize that I'm really the crazy one. Those are just more ideas she pitched. But the thing is, like, as much as some of these ideas are like, even though you might be like, some of these ideas are crazy or whatnot, like, at least she had ideas and input and she was pitching them.
Yeah.
And she still got released. Like, she was making herself like, I can do this and I can do that. I can be crazy. I can be this person. And then they still released her. And then you guys heard the one they were running with was she's supposed to be Victorious and her name was going to change to Victorious. And she's supposed to win that fatal four-way and then backstage I have to say I'm Victorious. But that also didn't happen because she broke her arm. But it's crazy. Like, there's so many things she was pitching. So I wish all wrestlers, like, the moment they either leave or whatever, could just like do a segment called "This is what I pitched." Like, just tell us a bunch of stuff. It's a thing. No comments?
I don't know.
Yeah, no, I was on D God.
Any comments, Daniel? He's like, I don't care about Chelsea Green.
I mean, no, I mean, okay, no, I do care. Don't get me wrong. Like, she was great, you know, but it just sucks how, you know, management kind of dealt with her, and she's gonna go take her talents somewhere else and thrive and really prove to the WWE management and, you know, the people there that, you know, they missed out on some great stuff with her. So
yeah, and I second that those are all great ideas that could have lived on a separate show in a separate universe that only aired on Peacock. And why? Because Peacock, which also is you know, partnered with Total Divas and all the other things. You know, that would have been a great little women's only thing, right? It would have been they would have been supporting women's empowerment. But again, these companies will tell you that they support women and they don't. So I am not surprised.
I'm just gonna quickly transition to the entire A&E thing that I want to start off with because we never really got to talk about last week. The first episode was on Stone Cold, really good. I feel like we got to like. I feel like a lot of people are like, oh, but we've heard the Stone Cold story so many times, you know, documentaries and DVD releases and whatnot. But I do feel like we got a little more in depth in this one. Like, we got to learn a little bit more in detail about his early life from his actual family and his brothers, who I don't think a lot of us have ever really seen. And he talked about his daughters and stuff, which was a perspective we never really got to hear about. But how do you guys feel about the Stone Cold one? And then you can come up and tell me how you felt about the Roddy one in week 2. We'll start with you, Neesin.
I love the Stone Cold one. I think, first of all, getting Dwayne "The Rock" Johnson to sit down and not use an old interview, but a new interview, and to talk about Austin and just hearing, I never get tired of hearing that story. And I never get tired of hearing them talk about each other. And maybe it's because the impact that it had on my life, but also just the love like that continues to pour when they talk about each other, man. It's really a special thing for the acknowledgement of the biggest star in the world. Literally was made by the biggest star ever in wrestling, was saying, yeah, kid, I see you. I'm going to make you. Handpicked, and then to see Steve behind that and talk about his kids and his daughters, and like we've heard whispering around his daughters and things, but it was just beautiful, man. It was a beautiful piece of art that didn't have the WWE umbrella really over it. It felt like I was watching something that was just on Netflix done by Michael Mann or some shit.
And it was a nice wrap up. It almost kind of felt like a nice, like we never really got anything after Austin retired in a sense. Like how with Undertaker, we at least got the whole Last Ride documentary, and it capped off with him saying like, this might be me riding off the sunset. Like, yeah, we know he's been retired. He's talked about it on podcasts. He's talked about it in interviews, but like we've never got the, like, he talked. He's like, I think he talked about it at the end, right? He's like, I just never. No, we talked about it with Jericho on a podcast, but he's like, this is it for me. Like, it took me 3 years to get over it. Like, I don't know if I want to come back. I'm happy with what I'm doing, and just to see with the level of success that he had, how hard it was on him and the pressure he felt on himself while his body was already. It was good. How about you, Daniel?
Yeah, I agree with Neesin. I agree with both of you guys. Austin has to be the greatest of all time, arguably. You know what I mean? And he's been killing it. And he left a great legacy for the guys that are on TV right now. But there was one scene in the documentary which like made me like, I didn't even know about it, right? But it was Austin was in the hospital like the same day he was supposed to wrestle The Rock in his retirement match, and I was like, holy crap! Like, I never even knew that. You know what I mean? Like, that it really opens up your eyes, like, in a totally different perspective, and it made me gain even more respect for Stone Cold Steve Austin, the man. You know what I mean? Like, than the character. And hats off to Steve Austin, man. He's the fucking man.
And then when it came to the Piper one, I felt like that one was more of like Austin. I felt like he got to finish off his story. Like, he officially got to put a period to his wrestling story. Whereas Piper's felt more like just a tribute to Roddy Piper, and to remind people just how important Roddy Piper was to what wrestling became. Because everybody likes to give the credit to Vince, of course, rightfully so, and they like to give it to Terry because Hulkamania. But like, there wouldn't be a Hulkamania that was that successful without a villain like Roddy Piper. If Roddy Piper didn't start beef with Cyndi Lauper and all the stuff he did, would there have been a WrestleMania 1 with Mr. T? If Roddy Piper wasn't such a dick to Mr. T, would there have been that real life feeling of tension and heat? Like, and the story of how he was raised and living on the streets and what he went through before wrestling, I think that's new to a lot of people. And by the end of it, I felt like with the Austin one, it was kind of like a sense of satisfaction. Like, you felt like you got to finally hear his story and got to like come to terms with Austin, just like his career. It was kind of more of a celebration of his career. With Piper, it was like, I don't know. It felt more like we finally got to know Roddy Piper. How do you, we'll start with you, Daniel. How do you feel?
Like I said, I commented this on one of your posts, and some guy came after me. He's like, "Oh, what risks did he take to be a great heel?" And I was like, "Listen, Mark, he got stabbed in like the early '80s or something because of how hated he was. You know what I mean? And no one gets that much heat back then compared to like Rowdy. You know what I mean? So it was great. I felt a little sad because of his passing and his final interview. He wasn't like in the right place, in the right mind for things, but it was a good documentary, man, and yeah.
How about you, Neesin?
Yeah, man, I thought it was a great doc. I can't remember if they talked about him going half blackface, but
they skipped that.
Yeah, but I say that because that's the level of heat he would go for, and there's very few people, if not anybody today, that would take that chance, because especially now they don't want to get canceled, or they don't want to have the internet come at them in droves and tell them that they don't know anything about pro wrestling. you know, I live that life, I guess. But I just think that it was a master class of, yo, if you want real heat, you got to do real villain shit. Excuse me if I can't cuss on here. Well, yeah, you got to do real villain shit. Be Thanos. Thanos was a reason. Like, understand Thanos had logic. You may have not agreed to how he went about it, but he had logic, and it was all right. Yeah, like, we are overpopulated and things could be better if people could probably, but you just can't murder half the people. Like, you just can't do that. So I think with that said, that's what Roddy, like, watching that documentary, that's what I got from, like, he had logic behind his villainish ways, where even as they say, like, the best villains are the villains that tell the truth, right? Like, and even watching that, I'm like, damn, like, it's just that simple, and very few people get it. It's like those, and I say simple, and no means do I mean easy. I mean that the nuances, the little things, like those simple things that people overlook is what makes the people great. Like,
no, that's true. And there's the little details with him. And that's the thing, like, as much as what he was saying, and he said it in there at one point, he's like, everyone thinks I was saying this stuff off the top of my head, and like I was just like that witty and quick. He's like, no, it took a lot of planning. Like, I'd be writing stuff down all the time, yada yada yada. And I think, and I just recently heard it on Jim Cornette's podcast, Guilty Pleasure. I know everyone hates Jim Cornette, but he was saying, he's like, everyone used to think I was saying. He's like, no, I used to sit there and like write down funny lines and shit that would come to my head. And I think people don't give these wrestlers enough credit, because as much as they weren't scripted, yeah, they came up with shit on the fly a lot of the times, but they did like think about wrestling 24/7. They're in their car thinking of lines, quotes, things to say, and it wasn't just like magic then. Trial and error on the territories and doing those special promos for those fucking small towns. Like, they practice things and they have the opportunity to know their character, and we got to see a lot of the final products, and we sometimes take we don't give them the credit where credit's due, because they put a lot of work to create that final product. What were you gonna say, Neesin?
So that reminds me of rap, right? So I come from music, and when you're making a song, people think like, oh, when you make a song, you just go to the studio, you write the song, and then you record it, and then you walk out and you're done, and the song is there, and this miraculously sounds amazing. No, like, as an artist, like with anything, you're constantly working. Your mind, you can't turn your mind off, right? So you see something that inspires you, you're like, oh, like, that's a line. You write, before cell phones, you would write it down on the nearest thing, or you would try to train your mind and repeat it over and over again, and just that one line in your head, so you remember it, right? So it'd be stuck in your head. And that's what great wrestlers, that's what they are. Like, they're never not working on their craft. They're seeing something that inspires them. They're holding it. Like Jericho talks about it all the time. Like, how he would think of something and be like, okay, I'm going to try this. Okay, I'm going to try this. And they're writing it down. They're putting it in their phone. They're doing this. If you want to be a great wrestler, or if you just want to be a great artist at whatever you do, maybe you want to be great podcasting, which I'm not, apparently, because I've been told that also in my DMs. You want to be a great podcasting. You study and you take little notes, and you implement them, and it may look easy, but it's the simple things you did when people aren't watching that makes it look easy when people are watching.
No, 100%. I really was like, damn, they got Austin out of the way, they got Piper out of the way, and next week we got Macho Man, which I'm really excited for. But I was like, man, they feel like they're hitting all the heavy hitters first. But then I was like, oh wait, we still got Booker T, we got Shawn Michaels, we got Mick Foley, we got Bret Hart. Is there another one that they're doing? They're not doing The Rock, are they?
I'm sure they're not doing The Rock.
But they got Shawn, Bret, Booker, and Mick Foley for sure, and the Ultimate Warrior. I'm like, they got a whole bunch to still do. I don't know. I'm like, you hit heavy hitters with Piper, Savage, Austin first. Those are three of my favorites of all time. But obviously, I'm a big fan, big Shawn fan. But I was like, damn, like, all of these are really good, and I'm looking forward to it. I saw some, sneak peek clips of the Savage one, and just had a couple of comments to make. First things first, they had a clip about him with the guy that designed all of his costumes, and we found out that the guy that designed all of his costumes, specifically in the late 80s, early 90s, when he started wearing like the cowboy hats and the big full suits and the jackets and the pants and everything. Like, I've watched interviews with this guy. I've seen stuff with him on YouTube. Maybe I heard it and it slipped my mind, but he brought up how he used to be like a stylist for the pimps in the 70s. And Savage's gear is somewhat like pimp related, and those people in there like, kind of makes sense, like the hat, like a 70s pimp, like, oh, like he just, you add tassels and stuff, but realistically, like Macho Man was dressed up like a pimp, and I'm like, yo, that's crazy to think. And if we're gonna get more shit like that, like details that we've never really heard like that, this is gonna be a good documentary, because I almost feel like I've heard everything I can hear about Savage from other documentaries and shoot interviews, but I guess we haven't, because like obviously they wouldn't have told this stuff, because the only other time I think I really remembered this designer being interviewed was for the WWE produced documentary, which they might have taken that out. So like,
we don't want Savage being related to a pimp.
Yeah, Vince is on it. I've talked about that a lot. I'm curious to see what Vince says about their falling out and Savage leaving, if he's gonna still be on the documentary at that part, or if he's only going to be there for talking about the beginning part. But I want to hear if the theory, the real truth was like, yo, Vince, you're going to die in the next 20 years, and it's so sad and scary.
Oh, come on, man.
Like, start letting us know things now, man. Like, let the shit out. Get it off your chest. Don't die with these secrets.
Be a man, Hogan.
And the second sneak peek, don't mean to cut you off. Was Hogan trying to say that Savage and Steamboat had no intention to upstage him and Andre? That they would never have the intention to try to upstage us or steal the show or take the match away from us. And then literally the cutscene right after is Ricky Steamboat going, "We want to upstage a Hogan and Andre." Which once again goes to Terry's revisionist history lessons.
He would never try to upstage me as I lift the 10-ton Andre the Giant over my head, brother. Shut up, Terry. Put your hairpiece back in your head. Okay. That's exciting, man. I'm excited for that. And again, this is why I love these A&E documentaries, because it feels like you have to tread a line, because us as, wrestling connoisseurs, aficionados, if you will, smart marks, we feel like we know everything about, especially we're talking like 80s and 90s wrestling, right? Like we feel like we've saw every documentary, we lifted every stone, we saw every backstage, we listened to interviews, people, blah blah blah. If A&E came in and said, we're still servicing like people like you, and we're going to service the casual person. And that's such a beautiful balance. And that's why I love these documentaries, because it doesn't feel like I'm wasting my time, and I'm still learning things. I'm still invested, and I'm still able to easily digest it.
Yeah, and there's a lot of stuff with Savage post wrestling, like after he left WCW 2000, that we never really get to hear about. Like, yeah, he did the Bonesaw thing in Spider-Man. He still did charity work. But there was a clip in the trailer of Gorgeous George, who he was dating in the early 2000s, being like, when things were bad, they were really bad. And I'm like, oh, we never really got to hear, like, what was he going through? Like, we don't know, right? And, maybe we'll get to touch on his rap career and see him meeting 50 Cent and his brief run in TNA, and then what he did after he just disappeared off the face of the planet.
Wasn't he with his girl in Florida?
He was, and he recently got married to his high school sweetheart, and it seemed like he was settling down. And then, he had the cardiac arrest and hit a tree while he was driving and passed away, unfortunately, on May 11, 2011, I believe. But I'm a big Macho Man fan. For those of you guys follow my page, he's been my favorite wrestler of all time since I was a little kid. I remember being a little kid watching my brother's older tapes and being like, I like this guy better than Hogan right off the bat. And, most people gravitated to Hogan. Most people gravitated to the Warrior. I like the Macho Man. And then I remember being a little kid watching WWF Mania, which was a show with Macho Man and Todd Pettingill hosting it. It was like catered towards kids, I feel like. And he was always colorful and all over the place. And I'm like, that's my dude. And then he was in WCW and the NWO. And I'm just like, that's my dude. Like, I was just a Savage guy. So I'm looking forward to it. Can't wait to check it out. It's going to be one of my favorite episodes for sure. And like we're saying, like I sit and I'm like, well, what are they going to tell us about Shawn that we don't already know? What are they going to tell us about Brett that we don't already know? But maybe we'll get some stuff that we don't already know. But A&E's been killing it. The other show's good. We talked about the other show a lot last week about what the concept might be with all this memorabilia. The only thing I want to say about the other show was for years I've wanted Undertaker to wear that purple gear again. One time, come out there, Survivor Series 25th anniversary, retirement, like a WrestleMania, just come back out in that purple gear one more time. And he never did. And as much as I know they could have just recreated the purple gear and like got a new seamstress to make a new one, we found out that the original purple gear was in some storage box that Undertaker has somewhere in boxes, and it's just been there for decades. And we got to see him put it on for like 2.5 seconds. And I marked out for that. That
was cool though.
That's all I got to say about that episode. It was good. Kane, Taker, good stuff. Shout out to AJ Francis. Go check it out.
I only want to watch that and stream Pingo's face. Sorry,
what?
Go ahead.
Oh, because Pingo's over the Undertaker. He's over the Undertaker.
He's been over the Undertaker probably since '92.
What were you gonna say, Daniel?
No, I wish he pulled up the Ministry of Darkness gear too. I really like.
What you wanted to get a whole fashion show for you?
Yes.
Walks out of his storage box.
Dude, it's cool.
Every 2 seconds.
They had the joint like the unk right in the middle,
Yeah.
like a whole like middle like
So,
domination
honestly,
thing.
the ministry look was the scariest look for sure. The purple one is just sentimental to me because that was the first one I remember seeing on TV as a little kid, and he was a good guy, so it made me like the Undertaker right away. Where I suppose if I first saw him as a bad guy, I might have been like, F this guy. But I was a kid. He was wearing purple. He was a good guy.
Question.
Mm-hmm.
We just talked about Randy Savage. Who is and him being for the kids, who's the Randy Savage of modern day wrestling in WWE for the kids?
I mean, Randy wasn't for the kids till the 90s, I feel like. But you're right. I felt like Bailey was that for the kids for a bit when she was like side ponytail Bailey, but I don't know about right now.
Yeah, like who's who's the colorful, like they're clearly for the kids, like they'll be screaming, get up, like who is that?
I was about to say Natty, and I don't know why.
I was gonna say that.
I think it was the screaming, get up, get up.
Yeah.
Get up. Yeah.
Oh my God.
I don't know.
Love you, Pingo.
I don't know who it is, but Charlotte Flair. Let me tell you about Charlotte Flair. Monday Night Raw.
God, I thought we drifted far enough away where we couldn't bring it back.
Tell me one other thing that was going on this week's Raw. I don't want to spend that much time on Raw because Raw sucked. Other than RKBro, which
I was about to tell you one other thing. It was RKBro.
I beat you to it, but it's good. What else?
It was something else, but I couldn't do 30 seconds or less this week. It's at our audition, but I didn't like it, but this is what I thought about it. I thought it was something. It was weird. Braun Strowman telling Drew McIntyre that he's gonna teach him how things go, and that he needs to listen up because he's the older statesman. Really was weird to me. Didn't sit well with me that he was telling Drew McIntyre that. Drew McIntyre has been in wrestling for 16 years. He was the chosen one. He was there way before you were.
Wasn't the whole show confusing though? Lashley and MVP were trying to stop Drew from winning. The Garbage Pail Kids, aka the remnants of Retribution, came out there and helped Drew win in a way. But they're supposed to be on Lashley guys' side. And then to end the entire show, you have Drew McIntyre and Braun Strowman who are just kicking each other's asses, being like, we're going to work together and get that guy. What the fuck happened?
Wait, Justin, to add on to Monday Night Raw, you're saying Charlotte was the best part. She made a referee apologize, and people hated that.
It was great, because she's a heel. That's what she's supposed to do. She fucked up and got the referee to apologize to her. That's a great promo.
You know, okay, here's the thing.
Tell me a better promo on the show. There wasn't. Not even RKBro.
I can't.
There wasn't a better promo.
No, you know what? No, actually, you're lying. That backstage segment with Randy Orton and Riddle was fantastic.
Okay.
I don't even know what an Apex Predator is, bro.
To everything. There's Randy Orton, and then there's everybody else. So like,
you said name a better. Actually, Alexa Bliss's promo wasn't bad. Okay, it wasn't bad.
Fair.
Oh yeah.
But
the women are running Raw.
For real. But what I was gonna say about Charlotte, it's not that Charlotte. Charlotte is really good, and that's not the thing. You know what my problem is with Charlotte is that I don't believe her. Like I don't believe like this Charlotte especially. I don't believe that. Like this Charlotte seems like this Charlotte seems like Dolph Ziggler trying to do his hot five on a like the Laugh Factory at a comedy store. It's like, well, you think they're good? Think they're good? That's her. That's what she does, and it's not believable.
Dolph Ziggler's comedy career.
No, I'm talking about his early. I haven't seen his new comedy career, but I mean,
no, I get that, and I think this is a whole topic we can dive into and it could be a whole nother episode. I think that's because I don't know. I think we see too much of wrestlers on social media and who they actually are. So like nothing seems like it's actually them on TV.
I agree.
And that's a bigger part of the problem because we know Charlotte's so like nice and humble and nice on social media, and then she comes on in and she's like this bitch who's supposed to, and you're like, that's not you. I get that.
But even if you're gonna be a bitch, because I don't mind. Like I know, you know, like Sasha's not a bitch. Like she's not in person.
There's a fan base that portrays us one, so it works.
Exactly. You see what I'm saying?
But there's a fan base that actually thinks that Charlotte Flair stealing everybody's opportunities is always in the top spot. So that's what she's the opportunity.
But I don't know. Maybe also the opportunity is just weird because
the way that she says it, the nickname doesn't work.
Yeah, it doesn't. The opportunity. It doesn't work. But she always changes when somebody else. Like, remember when Becky changed into the man and like she came out with the jackets and like she basically after she beat Charlotte with a kendo stick and she was supposed to be heel, and then she came out on that Monday after SummerSlam and or whatever day it was, and like got cheered beyond belief, and then they're like, oh, we can't turn her heel. What happened? Charlotte turned around and started coming out in leather jackets and was like, I'm gonna be a badass and I'm gonna be this. So now you have Sasha doing this. I'm the boss. I'm the fly ass outfits, right? Yep, in the fly ass outfits. And then you have Charlotte doing it.
Charlotte's trying to come out with these King Troy. Shout out to King Troy, you're the man.
Bro, it keeps it, and I'm just like, and I know that's not. I'm not saying this is her or any like real. I'm not talking about real person Charlotte or Ashley, right? I'm talking about Charlotte Flair, the character. And it just does Charlotte Flair, the character, no justice that she keeps not being like authentic to Charlotte Flair.
She has an identity crisis. Either she's
that should be the character.
She's dressing like her daddy, or she's dressing like what other people are doing. That's hot. I'm not saying that, guys. Charlotte, if this is, I'm not saying that. I'm just trying to take Neeson's point and like put it into like a sentence.
Right, but I'm saying, but if that was the character. Yeah. That would all, you see what I'm saying? Like, that's what we want. The same how we talk about Private Party and all that. Like, that's what we want. We know it's not you. We know it's not Ashley. We know that. Like, just make the character make sense.
I'm gonna ask about 4 more WWE things, and I want to quickly talk about AEW for like the last 5 minutes. But give me like a 1-sentence answer to these. RKBro, are you with it or not with it, Daniel?
Yeah.
Yeah, okay. To RKBro, how do you feel? 1 sentence.
Bro.
Okay, sweet. Do you guys think, and this is just a fantasy booking Justin thing, they're basically the general managers. They can keep running with this official thing, but we have a heel in Sonya Deville and we have a babyface in Adam Pearce. If there was a payoff to this where they both got one show, Sonya Deville needs to be the Raw general manager and Adam Pearce needs to be the SmackDown general manager. Right, Neesin?
I would only want Sonya Deville to be the Raw general manager, so we could get Mandy and Sonya either revival or feud again, whatever it may take. That's the only reason I want her on Raw. Otherwise, I want to put her on SmackDown, the A show, and I want her because she's the actual wrestler. So why not put the wrestler on the Wrestle Show?
My only argument there was Roman Reigns being the top heel. You need a babyface authority figure for him to be.
I don't think Roman needs that.
No, I don't think if there was going to be authority figure, you want him on the show with the babyface one, not the heel one.
Right.
Does that make sense?
No, you're right. I get it.
Daniel? Yeah, no, you with the GM situation?
I mean, yeah, wrestling does need authority figures, so yeah.
I mean, they clearly do. They thought they didn't, and they brought Adam Pearce.
We're getting rid of general. We listen to the fans. You said you didn't want general managers. Wait, what? Huh?
Bryan versus Roman, loser leaves SmackDown. I think we can all kind of see the writing on the wall. And if they do shock us with a crazy Bryan title win, that would be fucking mind blowing. But Bryan loses and goes to Raw. That's my opinion because Raw needs something. Neesin?
Bryan loses and goes to NXT. That's my hope and dream. Half his farewell tour, his part-time tour, be him in NXT and headlining takeovers. Daniel Bryan versus Finn Balor, Daniel Bryan versus Pete Dunne, Daniel Bryan versus Tyler Bate, Daniel Bryan versus Walter, Daniel Bryan versus Adam Cole again, baby. Oh my God, guys,
that would be good. Roman or Daniel Bryan?
I'm gonna. I love Bryan. I'm gonna go with Bryan. Screw it.
Oh, you're gonna go with the surprise? Okay. Bayley and Bianca is made official for Backlash WrestleMania, whatever the hell it's called, and I'm okay with it. We haven't seen Sasha since she looked very upset backstage without saying a word and showing a scar.
Yeah,
I'm okay if we don't see Sasha. I would love to see her tomorrow, but I'm okay if we don't see her until after Backlash WrestleMania, whatever it's called. Let's run with Bianca and Bayley. Let Bianca beat another person and someone that's formidable like Bayley, and let's move forward. And we'll come back to Sasha when the time is right. How do you feel, Neesin? What was up?
Can we hear this?
Yeah, we can.
Yeah, come on, man. Come on. Bianca Belair, she's going to go on and defeat all 4 horsewomen, and she's going to stake her claim as the current head of the women's table on SmackDown. And it's going to be glorious. Why Sasha goes off and films the next season of Mandalorian.
Oh, is that where she went? That would make sense. Daniel.
No.
Bianca, Bayley, how do you feel?
Bianca, 100%.
And you're just good that's happening.
I think Bianca will win.
Yeah, but you're happy that taking a break from Sasha Bianca for a bit. I like the first 45 minutes of SmackDown was literally just about
refreshing.
Uso, Roman, Cesaro, Seth, and Bryan. I think a lot of people are like, wow, these guys are taking the whole first half of SmackDown. But SmackDown's so smart at booking their show. Everything else that happened that needed to happen made sense and it worked, guys. So there's not much to complain about. It worked. And hey, we stuck around to see what Roman chose. We stuck around to see what Roman chose. We will let Cesaro and Bryan come back out there at the end of the show and still was intrigued. So that's why SmackDown's a better show. We talked a little bit about NXT. The only thing I want to say about AEW is that it was a good show this week, better than the last 2 weeks. If they could have a show like this every week, I'd be with it. There's so much about it I liked. Even the stuff I would think I wouldn't like, I enjoyed. Like QT Marshall and Cody Rhodes feud. I actually enjoyed this segment. And it involved QT Marshall. Shout out to QT Marshall. Appreciate you following the page. And it involved Cody Rhodes, who comes and goes and had the worst booking of 2021, but I enjoyed it. Adam Page and Brian Cage surprised me. I thought we were just going to have Adam Page win all until he gets the title shot. And then Brian Cage picked up the win. But personally, in my mind, I'm like, oh, you know what? Maybe this will give us an Adam Page, Brian Cage feud because they both need something to do to keep themselves relevant. Miro beat the shit out of fucking Kip Sabian. I still don't understand why. And everything else was just good. I enjoyed Dynamite this week. I could be nitpicky and say the 2 promos back to back sucked, but they were still both really good promos. I just would have probably put one like in the second hour between 2 matches because I'm the type of person that gets drained by match after match after match after match. But yeah, Neesin, I feel like you have something to say.
Yeah.
Shout out QT Marshall. So Adam Hangman Page is Mr. AEW. He has started AEW Dynamite. I don't know. What is this? 3 weeks in a row now? Like maybe even more than that. Like I feel like his music is always the first music that comes on. It does.
It feels like that way.
Yeah, and I love it, man. And as this match is going on, I'm like, okay, this is another match to get him closer. Oh my God, he lost. Oh my God. Like you said, I was like, yes, he's gonna have a feud. Like he's gonna actually be able to sink his teeth into something. Him and Dark Order now, Team Taz versus Dark Order sort of thing. and I think it's gonna be great. I think it's gonna be fantastic. I thought the show felt like a go home show, and it wasn't. And
in a sense, it was for Blood and Guts.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. That's right. Because it's not on Sunday. So yeah, it was a go home show. It's because Blood and Guts is on Wednesday.
Yeah.
Man, it felt dope. Like I loved it. I love the Pinnacle versus the Inner Circle parlay. The promos back and forth. I love the fact that they really went for what is the internet saying. I think anytime you do that pipe bomb-esque work shoot promo, that works. It works.
Sides had points, valid points.
Both points were made on both sides. Points were made. I look. You can't pay me to care about the factory. Okay, you can't pay me. I look. The whole bus thing was dope. I like the Cody shot, him being in the bus. It reminded me of Nitro. It reminded me of the Randy Orton segment. Was it Cena and Orton when the bus thing, or Triple H and Orton?
I don't know.
One of those. Somebody did the bus. They did that as well, like in a bus scene. But I loved the whole bus thing and fighting on the bus and that whole. It also felt like Def Jam Vendetta. The video game when they're like fighting by the bus, and the next thing you know, cut to is a random crowd, the same crowd that was by the ring that was right there. Weird. And then the referee is on top of the bus with them.
Yo, I don't need Aubrey up there. Like, what was she
also
doing?
Weird. I mean, that's for communication purposes, but it was weird. But yeah, man, it felt AEW's doing great at nailing their pace. Built the women's division that they're building right now is fantastic. Statlander, look, I've been a Statlander fan since she debuted. I'm so glad she's doing her thing. But to see Penelope, your girl, do her thing was fantastic as well. And then the biggest star that AEW has, the Doctor.
Yeah, man.
Britt Baker is number one.
It's about time.
DMD.
And the clock is ticking. The clock is ticking.
What did she say? She said, Sheeta later. Sheeta later.
I didn't catch it.
Her and Adam Cole are the heel couple of the cinch, guys.
If that Cody thing didn't happen after that match, I would not have cared about that match at all. Like, the Cody thing made that match a memorable segment. If it was just a 6-man tag, whatever.
Can't pay me to care about the fact.
If I was gonna be a little nitpicky, like, obviously little things that did bother me, like, I still don't understand. I think they need to define what the Dark Order is now without Brody, and I think they haven't done that yet. Like, yes, they're funny and stuff, but I think they need to give us a proper hey, these guys aren't a cult no more. Let's drop the whole join the Dark Order thing. They're a family or something, but define it, because I feel like they do really well on the internet. If you watch BTE and stuff, but I feel like when they come out and they do the entrances on Dynamite and stuff, it still says join the Dark Order and all this stuff, and it's not that no more. It can't be, considering the way they're portrayed on television. The brawl prior to the opening match with the Dark Order and Team Taz, very unnecessary. I just didn't think it needed to happen. It just seemed like some stuff that they were just let's have them brawl at the beginning so we get everybody out there. Didn't need to happen. And I like Darby. I don't know how I feel about these weekly title matches and what's him still being with Sting. I love the whole Sting storyline up until they had their match. I don't understand why they are still associated with each other as if Darby's Sting's illegitimate son or something. And I don't know what Lance Archer's doing. Is he Sting's friend? Does he want to fight Sting? I'm all about Ethan Page and Scorpio Sky as a tag team. But why are they targeting Sting? I'm just so confused with that entire storyline that always ends the show these past few weeks.
You gotta watch Dark Evolution, Revolved, Circle Drive, X Square, Up Down.
I just don't get it, and I like all the players. I just don't understand it. And like a week ago, they made me invest in the fact that Matt Hardy and Darby Allin hated each other, but that they don't. So if I was going to be a dick about the show, those are the two things I'd be a dick about.
That Darby Allin match with 10, that was 10's match to win. Also, Darby Allin, it was great that Darby Allin won, as where I said it's 10 match to win, but it was great that he won because he it showed that he could fight through all the chaos and still come up with the win and makes him stronger. But yeah, I think everybody's looking like, okay, you just named a bunch of crap that we're on, and I mean crap not in a bad way, just a bunch of stuff, a bunch of spots, a bunch of things that happen, and none of them really centered around the championship.
And the same shit happened in the Matt Hardy match.
Yeah.
Like, it's a repetitive. Sting comes out. Ethan Page and Scorpio Sky show up. Lance Archer comes out. Now these guys are here. Well, now it's Matt Hardy's crew. This week it was fucking Dark Order was out there for a bit. I don't. If we just had 10 versus Darby, maybe Sting in his corner if that's what they want to do, and had a match.
You get a spot. No, you get a spot. No, you get a spot. No, everybody gets a spot.
I genuinely don't understand the Ethan Page Scorpio thing, because I thought they wanted to go after the tag titles.
Very random.
No, let's beat up Sting, because that's how we're gonna make a name for ourselves.
Why is the Murder Hawk Lance Archer like now just like running out of there protecting Sting, but then you got Jake the Snake Roberts galloping slowly behind him? Like, I don't understand what's going on, guys. That's
my only nitpick. Like, I wanted to be really positive about Dynamite this week because I do think it was a really good show.
No, it was a great show. It was great.
But now that I had to be real a little bit, there was still some shit where I was like, "What? Why?"
Yeah.
Other than that, guys, Blood and Guts next week's gonna be dope. I'm looking forward to the War Games match. You got Eddie Kingston and John Moxley versus Kenny Omega and
Blood and Guts match. It's not War Games.
Oh my bad, Blood and Guts in double Hell in the Cell with 2 rings, not associated with NXT War Games.
Right.
Yeah.
At all.
That show, and I think a lot of people thought that would take the whole show or maybe an hour of the show, but they booked a whole bunch of other matches. And for those of you being like, why didn't they just book Britt Baker and Sheeta for next week then too? Don't put all your eggs in one basket. They still got a pay-per-view after this. They've sold us with Blood and Guts. They've given us a cool tag match with Moxley and Kingston against the other 2. And there's some other matches on that card that I can't remember right now, but those are the ones that I remember the most. So Darby's probably wrestling somebody. I don't know. But yeah. Neesin, where can we find you?
Look, you guys, clearly my DMs are open for all criticisms. But mainly they're open for fellow Sasha Banks fans and to talk about the boss, the Blueprint, the Standard, the GOAT, the Queen of the Cell, the DDT and Boba Fett, and now the General Sasha Banks. That's what they're open. You can find them on Instagram at StayFlyLife, or you could tweet it to me at YRF Squad, or you just find me at StayFlyLife.
The General comes from the Mandalorian, right?
No, the General comes from Triple H when he tweeted a picture of her after the WrestleMania match. It said the General.
Oh, that's a great name. My dumbass was like, "What the?" Oh, wow. I just imagined her standing next to like Apollo and General Ladine or whatever his name is. I'm like, that would be epic. That's not it.
That would be one. It'll be epic. 2, it would be a no.
Mercedes.
Right. I just threw a Mercedes. We lost it, guys.
Oh,
we're off the rail.
That's where it came from, though. That makes more sense. I'm like, the General.
I thought
I just thought of Apollo right away.
I'm not gonna lie. Every time I say the General, I think of the best car General, best in town commercial of the General car insurance.
Holy,
that's what I think.
Sasha Banks would do that commercial. You can do anything.
Oh my god! Well, if you got Ric Flair doing a Car Shield commercial, you got Sasha Banks doing.
And LA Knight wasn't one of them, right? I was like, wait a minute, what's going on?
LA Knight.
Daniel, where can people find you? Where's the Dropkick Pod? What's coming up?
So I got Alex Riley, aka Kevin Riley. I'm hopping on the Dropkick Podcast this weekend. You can find me on YouTube at the Dropkick Podcast, available on all podcast streaming platforms. You can find the Instagram page at Dropkick Pod, and of course, if you want to be nice, drop a follow on my personal at Daniel M8, spelled with an AL. I know.
Guys, check that stuff out. I got a ton of stuff coming up, guys. So you guys know where to find me. The Rest Classic. The link in my bio. Follow whatever I'm doing, whenever I'm doing it. Make sure you follow THS Wrestling. I've been posting content there as well. I'm trying to get my editor back to do some stuff, so that will be a thing. Also,
the Leo Rush episode, Leo Rush interview that I did just dropped.
on that hashtag show's YouTube channel. Guys, go check that
Yes.
out. He talks about Bobby Lash. He talks about what he's doing now. He talks about everything. So go give it a listen, give it a watch. And if you haven't already, go watch the Scott Hall one and go watch the Kevin Nash one. I know a bunch of you, when I post that little thing about the NWO on my page, were all like, where are these interviews? And I sent you guys the links. Guys, that hashtag show, go follow them on YouTube. I got a couple of casual conversations coming up. Make sure you guys follow the Patreon. You guys get to watch this video. I might cut a couple of clips from this episode and post them on the page so you guys know what you're missing. But definitely. And I'm also on my YouTube channel, The Wrestling Classic. I just been kind of posting 1 or 2 minute clips of like past interviews, like the highlights. Shad Gasper talking about meeting The Undertaker for the first time. Bret Hart making a surprise appearance. I was going to post Renee Paquette talking about crazy wrestling fans. So you guys just don't want to watch the full interviews, but you're like, oh, there's some gems in some of these. I'm going to post those separately. Other than that, guys, keep doing the thing. Make sure you tune into the Macho Man documentary this next Sunday. Yeah. And yeah, I think that's it, guys. I think we are done. Sign up to the Patreon. As low as $2. We'll give away toys. No? But yeah, that's about it. Thanks for toys. Yeah. Ooh, yeah, dig it. See you later. That was a wrap. How much over did we go?